Well, Blake, it's great to have you here today. Napa Legal exists to serve faith-based nonprofits. So, in a way, what we try to do is to help serve God and spread the gospel by assisting those who serve God and spread the gospel. So, with that in mind, I want to start with talking about you and what you do at Christ in the City. I know you guys do amazing work, and I'd love to hear a little bit more about your organization and your role in it.
Yeah, thank you, Frank. We're so pleased to have this partnership with Napa Legal. It's fresh, as we'll talk about in a little bit. So, Christ in the City is a missionary formation program that serves the chronically homeless specifically. To get a little broader, we're a missionary formation program that serves the poor. The heart of our program is our around 50 year-long missionaries, year-long volunteers who live in community life, living a life of common prayer, meals, all those fun things involved with community, forming themselves to be apostles, Christians, and then serving the poor together on the streets of both Denver and Philadelphia. So that is truly the heart of Christ in the City. But the heart and the body expand far beyond that. So as a formation program, we are known for our trainings, and we bring in over 1,000 volunteers a year via our spring break mission trips and summer programs, which have 300 to 400 college-age students each year, as well as around 1,000 or more volunteers in Denver and Philadelphia who join us to serve the homeless weekly and every second Saturday of the month at our lunch in the park. So an organization where the heart of our program is really our 50-year-long missionaries in a formation program serving the poor, with our arms outstretched to all sorts of locations across the country and volunteers who join us in learning and empowering their missionary identity as Christians.
Wow. Yeah, it's really amazing work. If I could go in a little bit deeper, I know you do really unique work with the homeless. So what distinguishes your work at Christ in the City from, say, just a soup kitchen or any other homeless ministry? What makes Christ in the City unique?
Yeah, absolutely. We are a ministry of encounter. So when you think about it, right, the hierarchy of needs and those different types of models, we only are able to do what we do because in the United States where we serve, there is excellent, not usually excellent, but for sure meeting the minimum of food and emergency shelters and those kind of things for the poor. We go in to satisfy and satiate that deeper hungry, that poverty of loneliness, which Mother Teresa of Calcutta talked about when she came to the United States in the 60s, and this spiritual poverty is really what Christ in the City goes to serve and engage and encounter with the chronically homeless on the streets. Maybe that's the nursing home residents or the prisoners or any of the other night ministries we do. So we really go, and people are like, oh, so what resource do you offer? And it's really our time, our presence, friendship, consistency. Because to continue on this train of thought, we have found and we know through theology and teaching the root cause of poverty, the root cause of homelessness is a rupture of relationships. And that can happen in so many different ways, with ourselves, with God, with others, with society. And this rupture of relationships is what Christ in the City aims to address and get to the heart of.
It's really beautiful. I know before you even started working with Napa Legal, I met someone from Christ in the City earlier this year, and I'm always very touched by this issue because you see the homeless, asking for money, especially in big cities, and I'll often lament how even people who do give them money, whether they do or not, it's like hand the dollar, don't look them in the eye, and walk on. And there's a real like lack of addressing the dignity of the human person, of Christ present in that person. And so I really love that that's the emphasis of what you're doing. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, there was a study done, and they asked, would you rather receive $20 at a stoplight or have someone know your name at a stoplight? And resounding answer leaned towards, I would rather have someone know my name. So just trying to bring that relational aspect to, even if you do give a handout to someone, or even if you are in the soup kitchen serving that meal, how to bring even a brief encounter, brief relationship, seeing deeper than just that transaction.
Yeah, well, for people who are interested in serving the homeless and ministering to them, this is your organization is exactly where people should be looking to support. You're really doing beautiful work.
Oh, thank you, Frank.
So I wanted to ask, how did you first come into contact with Napa Legal? As you said earlier, it was relatively recent.
Yeah, this past September, I was at a conference where your executive director, Mary Margaret, was. And we were placed in the same small group. And it was a very unique pairing because, I don't know how familiar she was with Christ in the City at this point, but I wasn't too familiar with Napa Legal. And out of all of our small group, it became very clear we were the ones who needed to work together the most. And with that, the relationship started. We jumped on a call afterwards, and it was one where it just became so clear so quickly. The resources, the platform, but also the needs which Napa Legal addresses in its founding principles are the realities of what nonprofits face, nonprofit leaders face. Decisions, it just became so quick, so fast. So it was really a no-brainer, and met Mary Margaret at a conference in September.
Wonderful. Yeah, I know the things that Napa Legal really focuses on helping nonprofits with. It's not the spicy stuff, right? It's
No.
charitable registrations and employment issues and tax law and exemptions and things like that. But I mean, this is why I'm here. It's really important to make sure that nonprofits understand the need for compliance, because it can really jeopardize your ability to do your mission if you're not compliant and you're getting bogged down in regulatory problems or fines and things like that. So I think you had one particular need that we kind of worked with you on pretty quickly. Would you care to talk about that at all?
Yeah, absolutely. So with Christ in the City, a small nonprofit with locations in Denver and Philly, there's the state legislation as well as the national legislation, and one of the ones that has changed in this past year, as many people know, is the exempt and non-exempt status for employees and the thresholds. And it was one where Christ in the City needed to just relook at our policies, do a deep dive into this, and it was one where it's tricky. It's tricky because it's different for nonprofits. It's not different for nonprofits, but there's certain cases that we may not have known about or those kind of things. And it was one where I read the article that was on the Napa All Access, and it was an excellent article, but I still didn't quite understand how that applied to Christ in the City, and I really was just looking for someone in the know to kind of flush out how Christ in the City could handle this legislation and make sure we are doing the best for our employees, staying compliant for the government's sake, obviously, but just truly taking care of our employees. And the author of the article, you, Frank, I think, connected me to her, and it was exceptional. The service, the help, just being able to, again, flush it out, share, bounce ideas back and forth with someone. Of course, me knowing Christ in the City, but Kendall knowing the legal realities, and then just the effort she gave to dive into it more and more. It was one where when we were signing up, we knew that this was a possibility of like, hey, if we had a situation we were stuck with, you guys have a pool of lawyers and those who are helping you could connect us with. And I'll tell you what, I didn't know if we'd ever use that, and turns out we used that within 2 months.
Right. Yeah, no, and that's like your particular issue, right? The question of exempt and non-exempt employees, it can be tricky, and like you said, the consequences are important, because if the employee doesn't count as exempt, then you're subject to certain minimum wage and overtime laws and things like that. Right, if you're a nonprofit doing ministry work, it's probably not on your radar, because we don't treat employees at like ministries the same way that a for-profit corporation would, right? Yeah, but it's a great way that Napa Legal, I think, has kind of expanded the wraparound ability to help nonprofits in other ways, because like you said, the resource platform, All Access, is a good place to start, right? It gives you overviews of all these issues, makes you realize, oh, I should look at this or that. But often, like you said, you have a close call question and say, well, a blog post doesn't quite give me my answer. So we're a small organization and we're not a law firm, but by doing the attorney formation that we're doing in our Good Counselor project, we now have this small army of faith-based lawyers who are willing to so generously give pro bono help. So I'm so glad that that was helpful to you, and so quickly after meeting us.
So quickly. And something you said there, I think, was another similarity between Christ in the City and Napa Legal, which I wasn't expecting. And you just said your formation of the Good Counselor program. That's what it's called, right?
Yeah, the Good Counselor Project.
Yeah, and just you seeing and the synergy immediately upon this partnership was you saw, oh hey, formation must be there, right? Formation of the conscience, formation of not just law but conscience and understanding, and that is the same way we approach a totally different issue of homelessness and poverty, but seeing that like that root, that Catholic ideology of formation, forming the mind, the conscience, the principles were founded on. So I loved that, and I thought that was very interesting. Totally different worlds, different realities that we share a similar approach.
No, it's very beautiful and very Catholic, right? It's easy to want to jump right into the right. How do we serve nonprofits? How do we hit the ground running? Or how do we, give resources to the homeless? But right, step back, and we have to form the human person to be like Christ, because that will flow out into all the practical ministerial things that we're trying to do. So it's very, like I said, it's so beautiful to see what you all are doing in a really difficult area of ministry. Well, is there anything else you'd like to share before we part ways here?
No, I think I shared it all. Again, just thank you again for the services, the work of your nonprofit. I mean, as a fellow nonprofit, we know it's worth it, and the fight is large. So thank you.
Well, we're so humbled to be able to work with organizations like yours. We're just doing our little compliance thing, and it feels like very dense legal work. But when we can connect with amazing ministries doing things like you're doing on the ground, it's really beautiful to be able to do our little part to help you to do your really extraordinary work. So thank you.
Absolutely, Frank.